nuclear talks in New York. Nigeria advocates urgent action on fissile material treaty.
Nigeria police prioritizes intelligence data law enforcement.
INEC chairman assures a free, fair governorship election in Anambra.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall examine rights of patients.
All right, and so the World Health Organization acknowledges patients do have fundamental rights, including access to quality health services without discrimination, the rights to information, confidentiality, and to make decisions about their own health.
Well said. The World Health Organization also emphasizes the right to dignified, respectful, safe and hygienic care from competent and qualified providers.
Indeed, and patients should also be informed of potential risks and options for treatment and have the right to refuse care with their wishes respected as much as possible.
Patients must also receive clear and complete information about their health conditions, available treatments, potential risk, and of course, be able to make informed decisions about the kind of care they want.
In Nigeria, a patient has the right to receive urgent and sufficient intervention and care on the event of an emergency and right to reasonable visitation in accordance with prevailing rules and regulations.
In addition to that, patients have the right to decline care, subject to prevailing laws and upon full disclosure of the consequences of such decision. So on this note, we welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria. This is not a topic you get to hear all the time, so I expect you to stay put with us. I'm Yenre John. Welcome.
And I am Victor. As well, thank you for joining us this Friday morning, and we are reaching you live on the network service of the NTA live in Abuja. Shortly, we will be joining Musa Abubakar for highlights of the morning news, and much later, the newspaper review. For now, it's Musa's take. Good morning, Musa.
Good morning to the both of you. Here's the news. Nigeria has reaffirmed commitment to global nuclear disarmament and is advocating for immediate action to commence negotiations on Fissile Material Cutoff Treaty, FMCT. The Minister of Defense, Muhammad Abubakar Badaru, stated this at the first ministerial meeting of the FMCT, convened by Japan on the sidelines of the 80th United Nations General Assembly in New York, describing the treaty as both a legal necessity and a moral duty. The minister notes that closing the fissile material gap is the most realistic way of stopping an uncontrolled arms race, in addition to rebuilding trust, strengthen the Non-Proliferation Treaty. The 32 kidnapped victims have been rescued in the last 14 days by the Nigerian Armed Forces in ongoing operations across the country. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcus Kanye, stated this at the Defense Headquarters, Abuja, during the bi-weekly update on military operations. During the period under review, 63 terrorists were arrested, 16 illegal refining sites recovered and deactivated, while 19 oil thieves apprehended, while several caches of arms were recovered and criminal camps destroyed. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Gbetekun, says the Nigerian police forces in a new era of intelligence-led policing with the launch of a specialized training program for officers managing the nation's criminal database. The IGP described the initiative as a decisive shift from reactive policing to proactive, data-driven law enforcement.
In Nigeria, the world must know. When a weapon is seized at our borders, its trail must echo across continents. This is the power of database-driven policing.
69 communities in 15 states have been alerted to possible devastating flooding in the next 2 days. This alert comes as major dams across the country are spilling excess water, causing water levels in waterways to rise. INEC held a strategic meeting in preparation for the forthcoming Anambra State governorship election, the area council election in the Federal Capital Territory, and the conduct of party primaries for the Ekiti and Osun State governorship elections. The meeting, presided over by the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, also approved the 2025 promotion of 471 deserving junior staff of the Commission on the recommendation of the Appointment, Promotion and Disciplinary Committee in line with the staff conditions of service. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu at the meeting assures the people of Anambra State of a transparent exercise. And those are the news highlights for now. Good morning, Nigeria continues after the break.
The Renewed Hope Initiative RHI presents the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. This national competition is in 3 categories. The household category is a tree planting competition amongst 11 frontline states in northern Nigeria. Each participating household in Adamawa, Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara states will plant a minimum of 1 tree to qualify, with a video evidence of before and after the tree planting exercise. 20 million naira will be awarded to the best household. Submission deadline is 20th December 2026. Community category will see local governments, local communities, schools, and NGOs reclaim and transform degraded or abandoned areas such as dump sites, landfills, parks, and their likes into green, vibrant gardens, parks, and eco-friendly spaces. 50 million naira would be awarded to the overall best community group. Deadline for submission is 15th July 2026. State category will have all states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, excluding Enugu State, have a chance to address the growing threats to environmental sustainability and cleanliness. States will be judged based on the number of trees planted on major roads and inner streets and how clean they are. 100 million naira will be awarded to the best performing state. Already, Enugu State has 100 million naira for being RHI's model green state due to its greenery and cleanliness. Video evidence must be submitted by participating states on or before 20th December 2026. All entries must be directed to RHI Office, State House, Abuja, or email rhi.greenchallenge@statehouse.gov.ng. RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We bet solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Each ethnicity is unique, we have more than destination.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry life. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA. For an exclusive 3x skin effect, try Nivea Men Deep powered by black carbon. For 48-hour deep moisture, a fresh skin feel, and a long-lasting masculine fragrance. Make an impact with Nivea Men Deep Impact Body Lotion. Try Nivea Men Deep Roll On for 72-hour antibacterial sweat protection.
Confidence is important in life's little moments. Strong teeth can help, even if they get her into trouble sometimes. A great smile is useful to break the ice, and making friends is easier when you know you have fresh breath. I give my family confidence with Pepsodent Triple Protection 123. Its antibacterial action formula gives them cavity protection, white teeth, and fresh breath. The confidence of 3 toothpaste in 1. Pepsodent Triple Protection 123.
Have you been aspiring to be a student of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University Zaria to no avail? Worry no more, as you can gain entry through NTA Television College Jos, an affiliate of the renowned Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, where eligible candidates with a JAM admissible scores of not less than 180 and 100 scores, and with 5 credits O-level in social sciences, including English and mathematics, can turn their passion in broadcasting to profession by applying for a BSc in Mass Communication and MBTE approved innovation diploma courses in film and television production, broadcast journalism, and television engineering, respectively. The college, as a training hub with a pedigree of professionalism in the media space, also offers specialized courses in other related fields. For more information, visit our website at www.ntatvc.edu.ng or contact 080-33 834-343 and 080-69-809-897. Announcer Management.
Nigeria at 65, a continental giant takes another step forward, navigating the contradiction fueled by a colorful and resourcefully diverse populace, yet questions linger on the destination of state, propelled by the vagaries of nationhood. What is your contribution to this journey? Join the NTA and an eclectic mix of everything Nigerian, from the academic deans to the street kings, who will lend their voices on the platform that has always been a part of the journey. The NTA on October 1st, 2025.
All right, we thank you for staying with us. Up next is newspaper review.
Chukwudi Okoli Ogbaja is right here with us this morning. Good to see you, Chukwudi.
How are you, Nyere? I almost didn't hear your voice because I was reading 200% price surge pushes egg chicken off Nigerian's menu. On I think saying only now will be presenter will read headlines. I'm a cool maker.
We could switch roles today. If
How you guys? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you guys.
And we have a number of papers this morning. Perhaps we'll begin with the Vanguard. And the lead story here reads, Why Apathy Dogs Voter Registration in Southeast, South. And it has quite a number of riders. Both zones record 50,681 physical registrations, less than Osun's 83,284. Southwest, Northwest lead. North-South record mixed fortunes. North leads in pre-registration, South tops in physical registration. Waiting for last minutes, mistrust, responsible for apathy, Afenifere, well, and several others. And the details are there on the front page of the Vanguard. And just above the nameplate, Mossop, others reject Tinubu's oil resumption in Ogoni. That's on page 12. And Tinubu promotes 52,000 paramilitary officers in 2 years, says Interior Minister, and you get details on page 8. DMO offers 200 billion naira FGM bonds for subscription. You get that on page 19. Nigeria attracts $19.92 billion investment signals in Q2 2025. Another one on page 19. And just at the bottom of the front page of the Vanguard, blackout averted as electricity workers shelf strike after FG's intervention is on page 9. ADC to members quit other parties now. Page 8, personality, not party, will shape 2027 polls. That's accredited to Professor Ahmad, and page 28. And 2026 World Cup qualifiers, more worries for Shell as Onyedika suffers injury. You get details on page 37. And to the leadership, just above the nameplate, arms deal, Dasuki opposes DSS's request to represent exhibits in trial. Is on page 7. In 2027, Ganduje, Jibrin, Bichi close ranks to win CAN for Tinubu. Is on page 28. Below the nameplate, 200% price surge pushes egg, chicken off Nigerians' menu. Fear of protein deficiency heightens. Ministry, farmers, consumers trade blame. You get details on page 4. I think Henry will take the rest of them.
All right, let's see the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust leads with a head defection, Kwankwaso in talks with Nentawe. And away from that, Olubadan, Tinubu, Atiku, orders for Ladoja's coronation today. Looks like that's the much we can take from Daily Trust. Let's see what the Blueprint is offering. The Blueprint leads with DHQ, police, 643 criminals arrested, dozens killed, 41 kidnapped victims rescued. The Riders FCT command impounds 126 vehicles, recovers 6 rifles, 9-month-old baby, mother, 5 others rescued in Kwara. Abducted 10-year-old boy killed after 100,000 naira ransom in Niger. All of that's on pages 6 and 10. Above the lead story, we have here, FIRS offers scholarship employment to deceased staff children. That's on page 22. And above the masthead, NIMET predicts heavy rainfall, strong winds in Yobe, Katsina, Kebbi, others. Ganduje Barral rally Kano stakeholders for Tinubu, vow to unseat NNPP in 2027. And below the picture story, which is on UNGA 80 and representatives of Nigeria right there. We have conflicting signals threatening Cross River Plateau PDP state congresses, September 27 sacrosanct, according to ICAM. And finally, in the green strip, FinTech warns of disruptions as CBN's POS geo-tagging deadline nears. All right, before I call in Chikudi, this is a good one here. It says, no tuition fee for Nigerians in all federal technical colleges. And that's coming from the federal government. And details can be found on page 10. All right. Chikudi.
Thank you, Yere. Abducted 10-year-old killed after 100,000 naira ransom. Heart of stone, that's what you call, whatever the psychological makeup of the abductors, were or are. It's unfortunate. I think it's drugs that can make a man commit such heinous crime. Everybody is important, but killing a child rankles somewhere. It's unfortunate, really unfortunate. Let them get them. They have to pay for what they did. NIMET is predicting a heavy rainfall somewhere, Yobe, Katsina, others. But there's an interesting story you didn't read. I feel rather rebellious today. I took the first headline. Let me go further. For its inaccuracy, farmers in Asa local government area of Kwara State are demanding explanations from NIMET for telling them that Asha. Oh, sorry. Is it every S that comes out as She? I'm not sure. Anyhow, that's rather interesting. They are telling NIMET to told us the wrong things. But there is such a saying as unpredictable as the weather. I think NIMET has a lot of room to hide and say, well, the elements don't quite listen to human predictions.
Well, then I think it's just a call to NIMET to be as close as possible, because I mean, these disruptions or the wrong prediction would affect farmers. It would affect a lot of things. Yeah, I think that the people are right to call out NIMET.
But when you say to be as close as possible, this is entirely out of the hands of NIMET. They say what they see. On paper, they say what they see. But I mean,
keep it simple.
This is supernatural.
Keep it simple.
Meteorology,
this is supernatural.
To connect your computers to supercomputers. It's covered almost worldwide.
This is supernatural. You can't help it.
Take what concerns your part of the continent. It's quite interesting.
You've not heard that man proposes and God
the farmers
disposes.
are really angry. I just had to slip it in there, you know. Okay, why apathy dogs voter registration in Southeast, South-South? What interests me is INEC should make exercise less cumbersome. Do what you can to reduce excuses from people who should register. Do your part and leave the others. We're not going to listen to anyone who says in 2027 that they're part of the region, blah, 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 when you did not go out to register. You know, do what you should do. There are civic responsibilities you owe the state, you owe the fatherland. Yeah. Who was it? Which American president? Don't think what America can do for you, but what you can do for America. I think it was one of the Kennedys, JFK, I think. You know, so love of country. The basic problem in this country is that too many of us do not believe in country. You have to believe in country. It's a great possession for your mind to think country. It's pride to feel you are part of something. And there is no excuse concerning it. I read on social media, hey, wait till Nigeria happens to you. What are the things that make Nigeria to happen to people like that? Find out from that person talking. He or she is contributing in such a way that Nigeria happens to people maybe as they perceive it in ways that...
And that's why the NOA has a different campaign about Nigerians that have a positive story to tell.
Yes.
And they have also captioned it, Nigeria has happened to me.
Yes.
So in the stories that we get to see, positive things.
They are taking it the other way.
Yes, exactly.
They call it two can play at that game.
Exactly.
That's it. Dora Quinley, God rest her soul, said, this Niger, it's negative things that come out of your Niger. There's nothing like Niger attitude. Nigerians can be good people wherever they are. Niger now. We're not sworn to criminality or deviancy. So NOA, I've stopped talking about them. I was talking about them when I was sitting over there. NOA has a great job to do. Something akin to what NTA was doing in those days. Make una call police, make una call police. We don't want a more rubber anymore. Call. Those were little jingles, promotionals that affected the psyche of the people. Ray Michael Nwachuku, God rest his soul as well, was doing a lot of wonders on Radio Rivers 2, FM stereo. You know, we owe this country so many intangibles that later become concrete things in our lives.
I agree with you.
I agree with you, but again, I also think that, you know, like the topic we're talking about today, which is on patients' rights.
Okay.
I'm thinking that, you know, if everyone contributes their quota, such that some things that are avoidable, negative things, right, can actually not happen to Nigerians. Then that love of country would definitely come in, right? So for example, you walk into a hospital and then there's a doctor to attend to you and you don't have to wait too much, and you know your patient recovers. You're not going to say Nigeria happened to you. But when you walk in and then there's no doctor to attend to you and eventually you lose the person, you begin to say...
You're putting the cart before the horse. You are talking on the premise of, make them do for me, then I go respond. That's not how it works. Faith, hope is a natural coming from positive thinkers. And it makes you a happy person naturally.
So whether or not the positives happen, you should just have faith, right? That's what you're saying.
No, you must have faith all the time. If you don't have faith or hope, tomorrow is not assured for you. So you get drunk on it when there's no alcohol around. It helps you.
Oh, only when there's no alcohol around.
We're talking about faith, eggs and chicken.
You know, incidentally, I encountered someone. I encountered
Because,
someone yesterday who was
like one
trying
young
to
prince.
get eggs, and they said, "How much is one?" He said 250 naira, and the fellow said, "What did happen again? That it used to be 200 naira." He said, "Well, it's now 250 for one." And when he made to pick, they said, "No, he cannot select. He just had to."
I should find a way to start laying eggs. I'll become a billionaire.
But it will suit you.
I know you.
But can Faith
doesn't have one out
put
of
the
one.
eggs and chicken on our table?
Nyere, this program lasts for just 15 minutes. But my father taught me unquenchable optimism. If you learn to think positively, great things happen to your mind. The
Great.
things that overwhelm people, they are nothing to you. Please, let's not go there. Where is Claire?
Talking about
she read
faith.
philosophy. She would have helped us.
Yeah, talking about faith, you know, the DHQ and the police are saying that 643 criminals have been arrested, dozens killed, 41 kidnapped victims rescued. So, of course, Nigerians should have faith that the security agencies are doing their best to ensure that we have, you know, a secure Nigeria. You know, so many other details right here. A 9-month-old baby, mother, 5 others rescued in Kwara. I mean, just a whole lot that the security operators are
essentially
doing.
messaging. They are telling you, no, they're not winning the war.
True.
Strategic communication requires you to say certain things from time to time. Otherwise, some people will say you're doing your job. That's what you're supposed to do. But given the despondency that seems to be so much, just as you said, in the people, among the people, it matters that you make these headlines from time to time. They're not winning the war.
Exactly.
And I omitted a number of stories here, really. Delta woman accused of stealing child set ablaze is on page 4. How we
Delta
helped
set somebody ablaze? That's not how we are.
Delta woman.
You better check the headline properly.
Delta
Where
woman
is my Delta?
accused of stealing child set ablaze.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
And how we helped Nigeria
Jungle
raise
justice.
daily oil production to 1.85 million barrels, says the army.
No, there are a lot of things have been happening in Nigeria, you know, that puts us in a kind of upswing concerning leaving the doldrums, you know, that's talking about the economy. A lot of things are happening. It's just that those things have not come to translate into more money in Victor's pocket. I think that's the next stage we'll get to. That's why we said that the next negotiation over minimum wage has to be a lot more meaningful. But things are really happening. We are moving gradually. What was it? Foreign exchange? Not foreign exchange. Even foreign exchange, yes. Somebody's saying it's going to hit 1,300 by December. But I'm talking about what do you call the account? The $43,000 billion we now have in our
Foreign reserves?
Foreign reserves. Come on, take it off my lips, please. Since it wouldn't come.
Well,
so things are happening.
Yes, things are
but
happening.
They have not quite translated into more money for the people.
This no tuition fee for Nigerians in all federal technical colleges.
I read it and I was excited. Actually, I noted it somewhere here. They are saying, if they mentioned even boarding, it's not just tuition, but you are supposed to get the items that will sustain you as a student in that federal government technical college. It is the right way to go.
True.
Nobody, no department of life is inferior to another. My broadcasting ranks as much as nuclear physics ranks. But given the trend in the world, technical education has become something we must pay attention to. So you don't get set to be doing so much when you do things like this. It's a good encouragement coming from government to people.
And then I just think that no Nigerian has an excuse to be out of school. I mean, you can get a skill now. It's almost free. So yeah, if you cannot afford university or polytechnic,
I don't know whether the optimism my father injected in me gets to that level, because the deluge, the number of people that will ask in may not be accommodated by. But let's say that it's a step in the right direction.
All right, Chukwudi, we have to let you go. And I'll get drunk on hope that when you start laying eggs
try it. When you learn to be hopeful and you love your neighbor as yourself, you wake up, you don't know what makes you happy. You can't explain it.
That's why I'm hopeful.
Wish the world well, and it shall be well with you.
That's why I'm hopeful that when you start laying eggs,
before he died.
we will all have money in our pockets.
Have a fantastic weekend.
Bless you. God bless you guys.
See you on
Give
Monday.
you a wonderful day.
All right, so we'll take a break now. When we come back, we would get our guest in and talk about our topic for today. Don't touch it.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Sharp wits, fierce competition, and answers that will shock you. Sweet baby goes, sweet baby goes. We know they're fake. Because like those three brothers were sick. Name something that can be soft. Do you see how we press the buzzer? Oh, Lenny Baba. Quiet T. Adeoluwa. Name something that can be soft. Botox. Name something that can be soft. That's it. What do you mean by that thing?
Sausage of a man. Yes.
You like a bad thing.
I'm very innocent.
Rebecca, name something that can be soft.
Breast.
Hey! The women on this show, they are different species. You can't. Survey says.
Are you ready? Join us on Reshaping Democracy, a groundbreaking program on the network service of the NTA, where citizens get the chance to ask ministers, heads of ministerial departments, agencies, and other top government officials questions on their performance and delivery of mandates. With no sector of limits, conversations build around bridging communication gaps for feedback and effect as our guests engage with the people they serve.
How does ND foster partnerships with organizations, government agencies, NGOs, among others?
As our leaders give account to citizens' inquiries on good governance, tune in to Reshaping Democracy, a creative concept coming up every Tuesday evening at 10:05 p.m.
This is Reshaping Democracy.
Nigeria at 65, a continental giant takes another step forward, navigating the contradiction fueled by a colorful and resourcefully diverse populace, yet questions linger on the destination of state, propelled by the vagaries of nationhood. What is your contribution to this journey? Join the NTA and an eclectic mix of everything Nigerian, from the academic deans to the street kings, who will lend their voices on the platform that has always been a part of the journey. The NTA on October 1st, 2025.
All right, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And just before we bring in our guests for our conversation on rights of patients, let's take this background report put together by Ibrahim Belogunda.
Patients have rights that are expected to be respected and protected by healthcare providers and caregivers in hospitals. These rights include right to dignity and respect, regardless of race, religion, gender, or other personal characteristics. Right to information about diagnosis, treatment, available potential risks, and side effects, cost of care, and the healthcare team involved. Right to refuse care medical treatment, even if it has serious consequences, provided the patient is fully informed of the risk of his or her decision. Others are right to consent by providing informed consent for any procedure, treatment, or participation in medical research. Right to privacy and confidentiality about personal health information. Right to safety and security in a clean, safe, and secure environment, free from abuse, neglect, or unnecessary restraints. right to emergency and sufficient medical intervention and care, right to voice concern and complain about their care to doctors, nurses, or hospital management, among others. How should patients demand for their right? How should healthcare providers ensure that the rights of patients are protected? And what are the steps to be taken if rights are not honored? This and more will set tune for discussion on Good Morning Nigeria, as our guests are already seated in the studio.
Many thanks, Ibrahim Bello Gunda, for the background report on rights of patients. And seated with us right now in the studio for the conversation is Dr. Enejo Abdul, Deputy Registrar and Director, Head Department of Professional Discipline, Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Also here for the conversation is Barrister Ebenezer Egwata, health lawyer and patient's right and safety advocate. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let me begin with the lawyer amongst us. What are the rights of patients in Nigeria, and how pronounced are they? Just things we say, okay, unspoken, unwritten, or are they really, really written? What are those rights?
Thank you very much for having me and for that question. Patients' rights are not invisible, so to speak. They are also not non-existent. Patients' rights in Nigeria are rights that are provided for and guaranteed by law, or rather, laws, because our patients' rights are not all contained in a single document. So we have some of them in the Constitution, beginning with right to life. So the whole of chapter 4 of the Constitution, what we call human rights, some of them also stand as patients' rights, because patients are first of all humans. Then we have the National Health Act, which provides for some of the rights of the patients. National Health Act 2014. We also have the compulsory treatment and care for victims of gunshots, 2017. We have the Mental Health Act. We have the National Health Insurance Authority Act. So patients' rights are provided for here, different legislations, both at the federal and at the state level. Some states have laws that also provide for the rights of patients.
Are they enforceable? Are they, because you will hardly hear that a patient went to court to enforce such rights.
Yes, you will talk about enforceability where you know you have a right. So we have a knowledge gap. The rights are provided for in the laws, but the question now is, are the beneficiaries, in quotes, the citizenry who are supposed to benefit from those rights, or who are the owners of those rights? Do they know that they have rights? That's where we have a challenge. The law provides for right to treatment in emergency situations, Section 20 of the National Health Act. And there are also consequences, legal consequences for violation of that right. That means where a patient is rushed to hospital in an emergency situation, the law has already captured that that patient might not be in a position to, first of all, go deposit money. That patient might not even be in a position to even give instruction. Then the law says that hospitals should not refuse patients treatment in emergency situation or emergency treatment for any reason. Yes. Now, examples of emergency could be a woman in labor. It could be cardiac arrest. It could be snake bites. It could be road accidents. Now, someone who is in that condition may not have the strength or the presence of mind to, first of all, go here, deposit 30, 50, 100 or whatever amount before coming back, or even to go obtain card for documentation. Now, the law says that violation of that particular right of the patient, the healthcare professional could be liable and pay a fine of 100,000 naira, or could go to prison for a jail term not exceeding 6 months, or both. Now the question again is, are Nigerians aware? A patient has a right to information under the National Health Act. What information does the patient have right for? The nature of the ailment, the treatment options available, the cost implication of that treatment option. Now, the treatment options available, not the treatment option that the healthcare facility can provide. So if there are 3, if there are 4, you make it available to the patients. A patient has a right to know the cost implication of each treatment option, the benefits and probable risks attached to each treatment option. And the patient has a right to decline any of these options. And the law says as much as possible, this information should be provided for the patient in the language the patient understands. So the law is trying to bridge the gap. The healthcare professional is enjoined to come down from his, would I call it medical palace, using his medical jargons, while attending to the patient. If the patient has a headache or backache, say it the way the patient will understand, and not use your terminology within your community, because the patient before you is not a medical doctor or a healthcare professional.
All right.
A patient, okay.
Many thanks, Barrister. Quite detailed, talking about rights. But you see, as you spoke, I started thinking, how can these rights be enforced? Because I think the law, you would require proof, right, to go to a law court. So how do you prove that you brought your wife who was pregnant and she was not attended to on time, and that led to maybe complications or death or whatever it is? How do you prove that? I mean, these rights you just talked about. How do patients, I don't know, how does the law court enforce, all of this?
Okay. We'll talk, these are stages. Like I said earlier, before you talk about rights or proof, you should have known that you have the rights. The challenge is that the patients are not even aware. 1. 2, where they are aware, there are serious barriers to pressing for redress. One of such barriers is cultural. Another barrier is religious. Another one is ignorance, not knowing. So we've had situations where something happens, a patient wants to, or the victim or the family of the victim want to press for legal redress, and the hospital or the particular healthcare professional involved seeks out the traditional ruler of that patient, or seeks out the pastor or the imam of that victim and goes to appeal. Please, sir, if this happens, they will take food from my mouth. I am sorry. That is one. Another is where the family says, okay, leave the spirit of the dead to rest. Please don't disturb the spirit of the dead. Sometimes we don't, most times we rarely do autopsy here. And poverty is also a serious challenge. Because if you want to go into forensic investigation, you are going to foot the bill now. So it is from there you begin to look at what was the cause of death. You are saying this happened. But coming straight to the question you asked, we have seen videos in circulation where someone goes to hospital and the person is denied treatment. There is one of which was the pregnant woman that died. It was all over. So we have seen a man took some accident victims to a particular facility, and when the nurses were nonchalant about taking care of or even receiving the patient first, the man did a video. Now, if the man did not put that video out, none of us would have known that something like this happened.
All right, many thanks, Barrister. I think we'll pause you at this point. But you're talking about that video. Most times when a relative of yours is in distress, taking the video doesn't come to your mind.
Yes.
That's not like the first thing on your mind. You're looking for how to get help for the person in need first before any other thing. So enforcement, of course, will be an issue. But let's come to you, Doctor. Quite a very interesting conversation. Rights to patients. I'm sure a lot of Nigerians are hearing that for the very first time. But speak to us. Are the medical personnel aware that patients have rights? And if they are aware, how important is patient rights in healthcare delivery?
Thank you. Yes, like you introduced me earlier, I'm from the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. That is the statutory agency of the government of Nigeria for the regulation of the professions of medicine and dentistry, and also for the control of the practice of alternative medicine. Now, one of the things, the main pillars of the things we do is professional discipline. And this is where the rights of the patients come into play. The barrister mentioned pieces of legislation that have provisions for patients' rights. I also want to point out that the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act. Now, the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act made provision for the council to put out a code of ethics. There's a plethora of rights of patients. Now, of course, doctors are aware, very aware of those rights. Every doctor is taught and it is drilled at induction into them of the provisions of the code. Now, one of those rights is that the patient has a right to be treated with dignity. He has a right to privacy. So if I'm attending to you, I must make sure that it is in a manner that you are not exposed. Even if somebody wants to be there, except you permit the person, I will not let him stay. It is your right. Part of that is also your right to consent to treatment or refuse the treatment. Now you see that commonly, and I give it to them, the Jehovah's Witnesses. At least they exercise their rights. They don't take blood. It is their belief. And they've gone out of their way to bring the scientific information and facts where alternatives to blood could be used. So the fact that he refuses to take blood, it is his right. Blood may be the best for him, but his religious beliefs don't permit so. That does not mean you throw your hands up and not do anything. You must be seen, because one of the rights of the patient, like he pointed out, is right to life. And the duty of every doctor is to save life. Save life, benefit the patient, do no harm. So you must be seen to have done something to help him. Give him the options. Okay, sir, you don't want blood. I understand. Document it. This and this and this are available. Would you take that? He will. Typically, they will even recommend it to you in case you don't know. That's the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, one other right is the right to confidentiality. In fact, doctors swear an oath to maintain secrets that come to their attention while attending to a patient, even after the patient has died. So, except the person permits you in writing to divulge his medical information, or you are under compulsion by authority of the state, either the court or a statutory authority, you are not permitted to disclose his information without his consent. The rights are several. For example, talking about a person in emergency. In fact, in the code, it's not just in an emergency. You are not to insist on payment before you render service. Your payment is only due after you have rendered the service. Of course, my colleagues will kick against that. But what if he refuses to pay? And remember, I said the purpose of every doctor is to save life. You do not want a situation where payment becomes a barrier to saving that life. You don't want to commoditize people's lives, their pain or their suffering. So the code makes a provision that you do not insist on the patient making payment before attending to them. But after you attend to them, your bill is due and they must pay.
But how does the MDCN, as the body regulating, the practice of doctors and dentists in Nigeria, how do you regulate these rights?
No,
how do you enforce it?
Yes, we do. Now, like he said, part of the problem is lack of awareness. We try, but it is not enough. We just keep doing it. But I tell you, we receive a lot of complaints from the public. A lot of complaints come from the public, and we deal with them and enforce them by meting out sanctions to doctors and all that. Now, typically when those complaints come, we have two statutory organs. The Medical and Dental Practitioners Investigation Panel, that is where the complaint goes to. It will be reviewed. Like you rightly said, when a person comes with a loved one that is suffering, or the person himself, the last thing on his mind is making a video. All they need to do is complain. Give us a valid complaint. What makes it valid? That you do the complaint in the form of an oath, that is as an affidavit, and against a doctor or a dentist, not against the hospital. Not against the hospital. We don't deal with the hospital, we deal with the doctors or the dentists.
So what if the doctor is simply obeying the rules of the hospital? I mean, in a private setting, for example. Why would the doctor,
There will be a doctor responsible for those rules. If he shows that he was carrying out somebody's instruction, that body will be a doctor. He will respond accordingly. No patient is at large. Somebody is responsible for each patient. Whether he agrees or not, there are rules for it.
What's the process for holding, practitioners accountable? Because many Nigerians feel that, at the end of the day, most medical negligence issues often end up, untreated, unresolved.
Well, now, ours is just one aspect of it, professional discipline. There are other channels for them to seek redress. They could go to court, civil tort, that this doctor, this hospital that is vicariously liable because this person was working for them, owed me a duty of care and he failed in that duty, and you prove to the court that he owed that duty and he failed in the duty, and if the court agrees, is convinced, the court should order him to pay compensation. Or you could lodge a criminal complaint. Now, like he stated, under that section 20 of the National Health Act, when an emergency comes, you must be seen to have done something, even if it is directing them to a place that can attend to them if you cannot. That's the provision of the law. Failing to do that, it's an offense. Then, under the criminal code, or the penal code as the case may be, and in different states, you have, like Lagos State, they have the criminal law of Lagos State. Kaduna State, they have the penal law of Kaduna State. There is a provision for criminal negligence. Now, that says that a doctor or a dentist who is vested with the authority, that authority is by virtue of his registration as a medical practitioner. By the way, the practice of medicine is a very dangerous endeavor. It's very dangerous, it's very technical, very highly technical. That is why the training is so intense. And for people who are not part of that profession, it is so technical that it may even appear to be opaque because it's difficult to understand. So you need the authority of the state for the state to be convinced that you are fit and capable of doing it safely. So you are vested with that authority and you fail to carry it out in a manner that is diligent and careful. That you did it in a manner that is careless, wantonly reckless, such that it caused death, injury, or loss of limb. If the court is convinced that that's what happened, you'll be guilty of criminal negligence and you'll be committed to correctional service.
You know, listening to you, it's very interesting, very beautiful, I must say. But in practice, by the way, our viewers are supposed to send in comments, questions, you know, whatever it is as regards to this topic. The number is on the screen. We expect to see all your messages as regards the topic, patients' rights. Let us know if you're aware and if you've been a victim in any way in terms of negligence of medical personnel. Doctor, I'd like to stay with you. You have talked about what's obtainable on paper. In practice, in practice, you're laughing.
It's obtainable in practice. The problem is you have not seen it as much as you want it to be on the background of what happens. Even this criminal negligence, it's been done in Lagos State. Lagos State High Court has convicted a doctor for criminal negligence, not for some other conduct. I'm not talking of the other one who ultimately got acquitted for violating an underage person.
Child,
yeah, that's, in quote, a human being who happened to be a doctor. Now, I'm talking of a doctor who was convicted by virtue of his practice for criminal negligence.
You know, speak to us about why you say doctors are aware of these rights. Speak to us about the factors that makes it very slim or almost impossible for doctors to uphold the rights of patients.
No, I didn't say it is.
I'm just saying, because you already agreed that, I mean, in practice, we get to see very few cases where all of these things play out. I mean, because you walk into a hospital, I mean, these days, especially government hospitals, I mean, for one reason or the other, you have to wait a long time, whether it's an emergency or not, before a doctor comes in. If the doctor is available to treat you, like we've heard so many times on this program, they tell you they cannot. They refer you to a private hospital where they know you will pay higher, and the same doctor is supposed to treat you. There are cases where, you know, the wrong medications are given. We've seen cases where a surgery is supposed to be for appendicitis, and maybe a liver is removed or whatever it is. I mean, so speak to us about what are the factors really? I mean, what conditions do you think has made it almost, I mean, very slim for the rights of patients to be upheld in the country? Is it lack of adequate personnel? Is it lack of skilled manpower? Is it lack of infrastructure? Speak around the issues.
Okay. Now, before, so I don't forget it, because you mentioned, I want to let you know, it is an offense for a doctor to send a patient to a private hospital, his own private hospital, from a public hospital. In fact, the reverse is the order. If you are running a private practice as a doctor who is in full employment in a public hospital, if you see a patient, that your private practice is supposed to be only for consultation. You are not to admit patients and you are not to carry out any procedures. If you see a patient who needs admission or he needs a procedure, whether treatment or investigation, you are to send him back to the hospital, public hospital, where you work, not just anyone. That is the rule. And we've taken action on that for those that have reported. Now, Barrister Egwatu made a statement earlier, lack of awareness. And the law is, if somebody does not complain, the law does not take effect. What if I don't just like you and I decide to enforce the law on you? The law needs somebody to complain of somebody violating their rights. That complaint is investigated, evidence established before the person is prosecuted.
How do you establish evidence?
A lot of ways, several. When the person complains, for us, all he needs to do is lay a valid complaint. One, I or my relation or friend, somebody related to me, was attended to by Dr. A, B, C, and D, and so and so and so, and I am not happy with the outcome. This is the reason why I'm not happy. You specify it. Then we'll take it up from there. The doctor will explain what he did. He will furnish us with the case notes. And doctors, fellow doctors, will go through it and decide whether or not what he did is appropriate or not.
All right. Dr. Abdul, thank you very much. You know, when we say these things, Barrister Guatu, it appears that...
Though the questions about why it is impossible, I would have loved to address.
Please do. Please do.
Now, why it appears not to be enforced as much as you will wish it is. There is a severe shortage of doctors in Nigeria. So no matter how diligent you are, there is just so many people you can see at each point in time. I'll give you the context. Nigeria is projected or estimated to be over 200 million population. Think about 214 million or so. We do not have up to 55,000 doctors actively practicing in Nigeria. Look at the
55,000
doctors.
The numbers are coming down by the day?
They are not coming down. They are actually increasing. Now, the number you have in your mind is the number of all doctors who have been registered from 1960 till date. That's the number you have. That is 116,000 now. That includes those who have passed on. It includes those who came...
Who have jackpot.
Who are expatriates, who came to practice and have gone back to their countries. It includes those who are retired. It includes those who are registered doctors but have gone into other endeavors of life. They are not practicing
anymore.
It includes those who have emigrated. I'm talking of the ones who are actively present
as of today. All right.
So you put that on the background of a population of 214 million. There's so much you can do.
All right. Let me get back to Barrister Guatu. I was going to say, look, in cases of medical negligence, litigation is long and expensive for the common man. Even complaints to organizations like Dr. Abdul's can be cumbersome for some people. It will probably take a determined mind and there's some resources too to, get that over the line. How can the legal system make justice in these kind of situations more accessible to the ordinary Nigerian?
Thank you very much for that qualification. More accessible. That presupposes that justice is already being assessed. Now, there are different channels of complaints. One is administrative, because litigation is just, like he said, professional discipline is just one, litigation is one. So I want to take justice here to mean assuaging or pacifying the victim or the victim's family. So there are different channels of complaints. One is, first, administrative, engaging directly with the hospital that has issue. Now, note that where there is a case of death, which could be either murder or manslaughter resulting from negligence, depending on the circumstance, is criminal in nature. So administrative redress has no business there. But where it is civil, I have mediated between a patient and a facility. The patient called and said, Benisa, we need to sue this hospital, A, B, C, D. His mom was undergoing dialysis. When I heard the case, I said, guy, we will still be in the process of filing your process in court. Your mother will die. Instead, let us explore ADR. Fortunately, I had the number of the CMD. I put a call across to him. I said, sir, there's a complaint against your hospital before me. Can you give us appointment and hear the patient, the complainant out? We went, I gave it to him. He listened to us. And the first statement, I say this anytime I have opportunity, the first statement that came out of that man's mouth was, we are sorry. And you do not know how magical that statement was. All the tension in the room disappeared. But he went beyond, we are sorry. And he said, where is Mama? The guy said, Mama says she's no longer interested in receiving treatment here. She has lost confidence. Say, no, go bring her. Going forward, we will treat her at no cost. And that was dialysis.
Which is not cheap.
That is justice. For me, it was a win-win situation. Because we need also to redefine our concept of justice.
You didn't need to spend money chasing justice.
You get it. That's one. Two is now criminal or litigation. We have talked administrative redress. He has spoken about professional redress. So let me dwell a little on legal redress, which has two legs. One is the civil aspect, the other is the criminal aspect. The section 14 of the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshots Act 2017 makes a provision for restitution, that the courts can order restitution where someone, a victim of gunshot, is mismanaged and the person dies. The question once again is, do Nigerians know? So where you file an action, you can claim damages. Now, the court is not Father Christmas that just doles out, how do I put it now, compensation or judgment in favor. You have to prove your case. And that is where experts come in. Medical law practice is a specialized area and technical. So you, the lawyer, you even know how to prepare your pleadings first. Because sometimes we blame the judges unjustly. We blame the bench. Because you are not, the victims. Now, once the judgment does not go in their way, they are hasty to accuse the judges of being bought over, of being corrupted and all that. Nobody looks at the chain of action that culminated to that judgment. If your pleadings are defective, there is no way you will get justice. If you did not supply the relevant evidence, there is no way you will get justice. If you are proving medical negligence, first you have to establish that the doctor owed you a duty of care. How do you establish that? You plead your hospital card to show that this doctor, I was admitted in this hospital. You have to establish doctor-patient relationship. Now, if you bring a case to court and you put every other thing and you ignore to put in that hospital card, one cross-examination question will end it. Do you have anything before this court to show that you were admitted in this hospital? And you say, yes, my lord, what is it? My hospital card, where is it? Can you tender? You say it's at home. Do you get it? The judge it's not permitted by our judicial system to descend into the matter, into the arena. If you do not put in relevant evidence after your duty of care you have established, of course the hospital record and other documents could establish that, but I just used card as example. Now you have to establish that the doctor has breached that duty of care. 2, how do you establish that? The complaint, the wrong that the doctor did, or the thing he did, sorry, let me put it this way.
Or failed to do.
Yeah, or failed to do. Then the most important, not each of them, every one of them is important. 3, you have to establish that you suffered harm. Duty of care, breach of duty, harm. Now, because of what this doctor did, I suffered this harm. After you have put this, then you bring the 4th component, causation. That this harm you suffered was because of the breach of duty of the doctor. So if you fail to establish any of these 4 ingredients, the judgment might go against you. There's a case, a beautiful case, the facts were in order, it would have gone in favor of the complainant. But the learned counsel that did that matter, I wouldn't know why, but there was a vital document that would have linked the damage he has established, duty of care, breach of care, established harm. But there was a vital document that is supposed to link that harm suffered to the breach of duty of care. But that document was missing, and the judgment went the other way. Now,
Right.
I can make this analysis because I understand. The victim, the complainant, all he wants to see is either the doctor is heading to prison or the court is giving him millions.
As compensation. All right. Many thanks, Barrister. I'll get back to you shortly, but we have another guest joining us now via Zoom, Professor Steve Abba, President, Society for Public Health Professionals of Nigeria. Many thanks for joining us, sir. I'd like to remain with you. First, is there a special court that deals with medical cases? Because I mean, with so many issues that the courts are dealing with these days, because justice delayed is becoming justice denied.
And justice rushed is also
exactly.
justice crushed.
Justice rushed, justice crushed. Beautiful. Now, are there specific courts to deal with these cases? Because I mean, if you add this to the list of what the courts are doing, I'm just imagining what year, a verdict to be given on a matter that is brought this year. That's one. Then 2, lawyers like you that are focused on medical cases, how are they very much? Because if you do not have access to someone, because I mean, look at the details you just spelled out. Any other lawyer would not be able to give all of this to get the right verdict in court, right? Because if you are not schooled in medical practice, then you won't be able to get. So tell us, in Nigeria, do we have a lot of doctors who are focused on medical practice? Lawyers.
Okay, the legal profession is broad in terms of practice. So people do different areas. Some people might, I just decided this is the area I want to specialize in. One is that I'm not the only medical lawyer. I have senior augurs who have been here, who are far older than me in the practice. Do you understand? So there are other medical lawyers or medical law consultants or experts.
And you can combine with other aspects of law, really.
Yes. I do other, I practice in other areas of law, but this is my focus. So I'm doing this. If you bring a contract case for me now, I will do it. If you bring a dissolution matter, I will do it. If you bring land matter, I will do it. But this is where I said I want to focus and establish, and also maybe fill in the gap by way of what we do extra sensitization and awareness campaign. That's the only way we can help out. Beyond, I also do advocacy. I train too. I was just talking to him about some training outside. Now, that is my own personal way of contributing to making this area of practice flourish. So if we begin to sensitize patients, I have today is on the 16th, on the 18th and 19th of this month. That was Thursday and Friday last week. I held a webinar for lawyers. And the topic was understanding patients' rights and legal remedies in Nigeria.
Okay.
I was the facilitator. Why? To build capacity of more lawyers in this area. So I'm not the only lawyer.
What about courts? The courts that hear these cases?
Okay. Can you...
Yeah, I was asking if we have specific...
Okay, okay. For now, we do not have specialized courts that hear medical law cases. I would give a few reasons. One is, like I said earlier, we do not have, at the moment, a document called Patients' Rights Act or law. Our patients' rights, I have mentioned just few. There are more documents that contain So I want to use this platform or opportunity to call on the National Assembly to look at enacting Patients' Rights Acts that will detail these documents. Beyond that, you give us Patients' Rights Enforcement Procedure, because the courts will work with the documents. We have fundamental human rights in Chapter 4 of the Constitution. We have fundamental human rights enforcement procedure. Now, if a case comes under fundamental human rights, the court gives it accelerated attention and hearing, following the fundamental human rights enforcement procedure. What we have now are patients' rights litigation between either the criminal jurisprudence, that's the criminal aspects, or they are pigeonholed into the law of thoughts when you come under the civil aspect. So if we have Patients' Rights Act or Patients' Rights Law, okay, some months ago, a legislator in one of the states brought a bill. I saw the video, a bill to make a law against hospital detention of patients. Now, when I saw it, I commended it, but I said, sir, you could have gone further. What the bill you need, because if you make a law on detention of patients, which is also one of the rights of patients, that hospitals should not detain them to extract their bill. There are civil ways of recovering your fee. Healthcare services or hospitals are not charity organizations. When you receive healthcare service, we are talking patients' rights. There's also patients' obligation, one of which is to pay your bills. So I suggested to them, instead of making this law, today you are doing on detention, tomorrow you go and do on obtaining consent, next tomorrow you bring it, you are duplicating this thing. Why don't you consolidate all the patients' rights and make patients' rights law of ABC states? Maybe from there, the federal legislatures will borrow a leaf. So that is the gap. The court needs a legislative instrument to work with. So if we have Patients' Rights Act first, then have Patients' Rights Enforcement Procedure, Patients' Rights Act Enforcement Procedure, then we are good to go. It's at that point that the courts will come in, the judges will need to be trained around that, then we make progress. We have the Child Rights Act. We have the Child Rights Act Enforcement Procedure. I've mentioned the fundamental human rights, but we are having that legislative lacuna in terms of patients' rights.
All right. Now we have a lot of messages that have come in from Nigerians, which we would like to read. But later, I'll be interested in you telling me if you have pushed advocacy with the National Assembly, whether through members or at whatever level, whether they can come up with, because if it doesn't come to them naturally, people like you could say, have you considered this? They are happy too when they have laws, landmark legislations that scale through. They are happy. So, but let's take the messages from Dr. Usman. Honestly speaking, in most public health institutions, patients are treated without due regard. Many times, if the patient doesn't know anyone, they find it difficult to see a doctor. All right, and this one reads, good morning, I'm Venatius from Omok in River State. Is there any penalty against a doctor who carelessly left items in the body of a patient after delivery and eventually the patient dies? Okay, I'm sure Dr. Abdul will be ready to respond. And good morning, my name is Anya Glory. I'm writing from Abia. I gave birth to twins, a girl and a boy, in Abia State, Nigeria. But I have a financial challenge. They are still keeping us in the hospital for a month now because we can't pay. All right, and from Ohiaba Joseph, I experienced a scenario at FMC where my brother that had a ghastly accident which led to his leg being amputated was bleeding after the surgery for 2 weeks. All the calls to the doctor to come and see what is going on proved abortive as he refused picking the calls. The only thing nurses could say was that they are waiting for the doctor for a whole 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, another doctor came and said he has to do fresh surgery, that bacteria has entered, requesting another blood and many other things. And finally from me, Jack Abba from Makrudi, some make lab results a condition before treating a patient close to the grave. It's not acceptable. All right. Perhaps they should respond to some of these, then we take from here and raise. I see two that I think this last one and the previous one I had called you to.
Well, of course, there are sanctions. Leaving
items
in quote, that's negligence. That's negligence, and there are provisions for dealing with negligence.
Sometimes, how do you find out items have been left? Because, I mean, when an item is left, the person passes on. Like he said, we don't do autopsy. The person is buried, and that's it.
No, the person complaining, how did he find out? He will state it's typically...
It's just issues. For example, I'll give you an example. I know of someone who it was cotton wool that was left in her body. So the cotton wool eventually came out of her body after a while, right? But for, I mean, medical equipment, if a scissors is left, how do you?
Now, when typically what happens, he had a procedure at hospital A by Dr. B, who may have forgotten something. He probably asked the patient to come back. Normally you give a patient appointment to come back for review. Either the patient came back, the review did not pick it up, or the patient did not come back and went to another hospital. Typically it is at that other hospital that they find that something was left there. So when they lodge a complaint, our investigation is such that all the places, all the doctors who attended to that patient will be required to state the role they played, and the evidence will come out. And it will be established who did what, and the appropriate blames will be apportioned and sanctions meted out appropriately.
All right, let's read some more questions. This one says, quite revealing by the barrister in the House this morning. Enforcement of the rights includes keeping posters of these rights in strategic places in healthcare centers. Some workers in healthcare centers take advantage of patients' ignorance to maltreat them, while others are ignorant of patients' rights. That's Dr. Daniel Adajo from Agbo, Delta State. Another one says, good morning, I like your program. So medical practitioners don't relate well with patients or their relatives. Comrade Williams, Victor Kodai in Taraba State sends that one. This one says, Anyekon Benson from Akwa Ibom State. My question is, what happens after the patient under emergency is treated and you discover that he or she has no money? All right. This one says, good morning, Nigeria. 90% of doctors don't abuse the rights of patients. The people that abuse the rights of patients in most cases are nurses and other supporting staff. I'm sure this person is a doctor.
Okay. Let me just react to a few of the questions that came in.
The person that is talking about what happens to the patients or the hospital where they have treated a patient and they discover that the patient doesn't have money. Okay, for the detaining of patients, the court has actually given judgments against hospitals that detained patients. That's again why I say, do people know? If they know, 3 challenges: people don't know they have rights. 2, where they know, they don't know where to complain. And 3, they don't know how to complain.
Lack of awareness.
When you talk awareness, you talk, yes, where you to complain. Then even in laying your complaint, how do you complain? Those are part of the challenges.
Well, if they don't detain, how do they get their monies?
Beautiful. If it is emergency, Section 11 of the National Health Act makes provision for what we call the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. Now, that fund, 5% of that money is supposed to be designated for attending to emergency cases. Like hospitals you've treated, that hospital that have treated is supposed to make a requisition to say we have treated patient ABC. This is how much. Now, let me shock you. On the 16th of this month, I was at a session I was discussing with him earlier, and this issue came up. It was confirmed that that fund is being disbursed. The challenge is that corruption has crept in, where people now bring up fictitious claims. Of course, they will verify before they pay. Now, they brought in a requisition with phone number of someone claiming to have been treated. Then a call is put across to that person, that number. They say, hey, you are confirmed to us that you are Mr. ABC. He says, yes, I am. Okay, you received treatment. What happened to you? Tell us about the treatment you received at so and so facility on so and so date. The person goes, no, it's a wrong number. I'm not the person. So your name, your phone number is. You see the challenge. So I will give it to the government at this point. That fund is being disbursed. In fact, let me shock you further. And I challenged them at that meeting. I said, why is this not in the public domain? That emergency, at least within FCT, that if you have emergency case and you are rushed to the hospital under that condition, the first 48 hours of your being received, of your being admitted in that hospital, is paid for from that emergency fund, from the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. Now, the question again is the public aware? So, detaining a patient, the law has already made provision, because Section 20 says you shouldn't reject or deny treatment in emergency situation for any reason. So I said earlier, the hospital is not a charity organization. Section 11 had already covered for the consumable. That is paying for first 48 hours, after which, so detaining a patient is wrong. The Court of Appeal, Makurdi Division, handed down a judgment of 250,000 against a particular facility. A man took his son there, and a particular consumable, 2,500 naira. The facility didn't have it. The man went outside and bought it. So after treating, they computed his bill and included that 2,500. The man said, no, this particular item, I bought it from outside, so it's not from your place. They say it's our policy. You will pay. They detained the man's son, and the man went to court. The court of first instance, High Court, agreed with the court, with the hospital. The man went upstairs, went to Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal handed down judgment of 250,000 in favor of the claimant and ordered the hospital to return that 2,500. Now, there are 2 issues here. 1, detaining of patients. 2, a patient has a right to transparent billing. Whilst the bill is being accumulated, the patient knows.
Exactly.
Many thanks.
Marisa, we need to go on a break now.
Okay.
You'd continue with your line of thoughts once we return from this break. The conversation continues. Remain tuned.
Creativity is so broad. I would say whatever it is that you're creative about, it takes a lot of practice before you become very good. So if it's something you intend to pursue, it's something you have to keep doing. You have to keep practicing. It's not going to be an overnight success, which a lot of people look for. But if it's something you're determined about, but the drawback rather, is that you need what is called staying power. While you're developing your creativity, you need to earn a living. So I know that's where the conflict usually comes in, especially with the hardship in the country and all that. But I think a lot of encouragement from the private sector to create incubator hubs. We've had some of those in tech. We need those across various sectors as well. Incubator hubs where these ideas can come in, be developed, be encouraged, be funded, and then we can expand it from there.
Content creation, while it may sometimes get a bad rap, I think it's actually very important because we have to see ourselves. We have to see ourselves living our lives. We have to show and share our stories. I think that's very important. Now, the job after that is to be able to digitize those stories into something that can provide data and insights, that can ensure that we can be able to support whole-scale industry in these spaces, to ensure that the amount of money that each content creator is getting exceeds what is currently happening for many content creators. The same content creator who lives in Nigeria will be earning less than a content creator who's living in the US or the UK or Japan. And we've got to also bridge that gap because most of that is being driven by the ability of the consumers to pay for those goods and also the pricing that many of these platforms have. So I think this is not the job for the content creators and the young people. This is a job for people like myself in the ecosystem who can help support the right pricing, to advocate for the right policies, to support economic development for consumers who want to consume that information and that content. And even beyond content creation, we're seeing that many people are stepping in behind the camera. They are producers, editorial, they are graphic designers, they are in technology, but maybe not in front of the camera. And what we want to say is also, we need those people too. We need those stakeholders involved. And the job of many policymakers, DFIs, is to ensure that the strategic investments get there, the collaboration gets there, and we're deliberate in how we're saying we want to support innovation in our continent.
There's an age group where your brain function is at its maximum, and that's the age group we call the youth, isn't it? So we need the youth, the younger generation who have the energy, the imagination to be equipped with the proper education, the proper tools, the proper encouragement, and then take what innovation they bring out and turn it into mainstream developmental ideas. So you find a lot of things that are invented by people in school or straight out of school. We need our patent laws to work so that they can earn a living from their imagination. Once the imagination is just for a one-year festival or an event, then it's not worth it. Somebody creates something, we need to get our patent laws to work, we need to enforce them, and then the private sector can use those patents to develop things and encourage more people to be more creative. Back in the days, yes, you had to be an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor. Today we have programmers, we have AI specialists, we have people that are doing ethics on genetics. Those things didn't exist 50 years ago. So there are new areas that need to be explored. The question really, apart from the parenting, does our educational curriculum cater for what the needs of the world will be in the next generation? Because our curriculum is dealing with the issues of the past. We need the government and the private sector to redo the entire educational curriculum to be forward-focused, not retroactive.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. This is Good Morning Nigeria. If you've just joined us, and we're on the network service of the NTA. We've been discussing patients' rights, very interesting conversation. And the feedback also tells us that a lot of people are getting interested. I have more. Dr. Barrister Guatu was responding to some of the questions, but I have more so that you can take them all on board. And this one reads, in some cases of accident, healthcare providers demand police reports as permission before attending to the victim. That's delay in treatment in brackets. This may result in further complications or death. Can it be a violation of the patient's rights? And if yes, what is the right step to be taken by the victim's relatives? Okay. Now, this one from Simon. Please, is this allowed in a situation where you got into a public hospital and the medical practitioner had to consult Google for solution or information before attending to one's problem? This was my experience in one of the hospitals. And finally, from Uche in Imo State. Good morning, he says. The topic you are addressing is apt. These laws do not work in Nigeria. If it eventually works, it is not for the common man. The hospital here demand payment, not minding the emergency at hand. So you have a lot on your plate.
Yes. For the second question where they are consulting Google, Dr. Abdul will handle it.
Yeah.
For the first question, demanding police report, not just for accident victims, even gunshots. Section 1 of the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshot Act 2017 says that hospitals should receive and treat adequately persons with gun wound with or without police clearance. So police reports demand since 2017 has been outlawed or abolished. Any hospital in 2025 demanding police report, making it a condition precedent before treating a patient, is already progressing in error and violating the patient's rights. Now, the duty of hospital now is no longer to demand police reports. It is to report to the police that you have a gunshot victim. That's all. So it is not, the person is bleeding. The person, you don't even know whether the pellets has lodged into one vital organ. Should he carry it and be going about seeking for police report? It doesn't make logical sense. So that one is a clear violation, whether an accident victim or a gunshot victim. Now, Section 2.2 of that same act says that such persons should be treated with or without initial deposit of fund. I'm talking about victims of gunshots. That's the provision of the act. They should be treated with or without initial deposit of fund. And before the break, we discussed the Section 11 of the National Health Act, the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. The hospitals have a way, a system put in place by the government of recouping their money. It's just that they should be honest about it.
And what do you say to the one who thinks that the law is not for the common man?
No, the law is for everybody. Thank God you are now, my people say whenever a man wakes up is his morning. Now you have woken up, sir. I commend you, I applaud you. You have joined the League of Enlightened Patients. So where we have advocacy, this is a form of advocacy, sensitization and awareness. So you now know your rights. When next you go and you know what to do, you know the appropriate channel to complain, you even know how to lay your complaint. That's what's important. And let me shock you, no doctor wants to hear from a patient that he is going to medical and dental council to make report again. I will tell you that free of charge.
Why?
No doctor wants to hear that I'm reporting you to the medical and dental council. Now let me tell you, the council has 3 punishments to hand out to the doctor. 1 out of the 3.
Not punishments.
Okay, sanctions. The doctor has, the council has 1 out of 3 sanctions to hand out. Depending on the findings, they can caution you, and you'll be very, very lucky. 2, they can suspend you for 6 months. Now imagine the dent that they suspended you for 6 months. They can strike your name off the register, and you will cease to practice medicine
in Nigeria.
So you see the enormous gravity.
But how can patients prove? Because we have cases where we have doctors who are not even qualified practicing.
That's quack, and they have committees. They have committees. That's a different thing altogether.
Well, it can take all on board, yes, including this one talking about using Google.
Now,
so when you suspend a doctor, how do we ensure the doctor doesn't practice within that 6 months?
We have a procedure for that. and it involves the police, including the IGP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Once is a doctor's name erased from the register, for a doctor is a death sentence.
Yes.
It means that you have ceased to be a doctor legally, and if you practice, you are a criminal. And if that happens to you in Nigeria, rest assured that you can practice medicine in at least 50 other countries, including the US, UK, and Canada.
This list of your doctors, is there a way Nigerians can access it? Just in case, so that we can begin to call out doctors who are practicing and their names.
Is it not published?
No, we publish.
It's published, so
Yeah.
it's.
We invite NTA anytime we are doing a
No, is it
procedure.
online or something that somebody can just go and verify?
We always invite NTA when we are carrying out those procedures. And NTA covers it, they show it. And we publish them. Now, a good doctor is a doctor who knows his limits. We encourage doctors, know your limit. What you don't know, check. If you can't find it, refer to the person who knows. I was going to ask, how did he know it was Google he was checking?
It could be something else.
We have what we call doctor's handbook, house officers' handbooks. These are books that a doctor could quickly check references and things like that. They are encouraged. The doctor is not expected to be a moving encyclopedia. So him thinking that that is an offense, it is not an offense. What becomes an offense is he is, instead of attending to his patient, he's surfing the internet and doing something else. If you can show that that's what he is doing, then that becomes a problem. But that he is trying to verify or check something is not a problem. We insist, if you get to your limit and you don't identify that you have reached your limit and done something about it, either check or refer to the next level or to another hospital. And what are those your limits? Your expertise, your experience, the facilities available to you. So you may be an expert, you may be experienced, but you don't have the facilities. Refer to where they have the facilities. You may not be an expert in that branch of medicine. Refer to the expert. You may be an expert, but there are experts who have more experience available in that area. Refer to them. The idea is patient safety is paramount. The patient safety is paramount. And like I said earlier, everything a doctor does should be to benefit the patient and not cause harm. Now, there are questions about detention and all that. For us, we approach it differently. Admitting a patient in hospital is a risk. Yes. So you admit when the benefit outweighs the risk. So if staying in the hospital is no longer necessary and you hold on to the patient and continue exposing the patient to a risk, you'll be guilty of malpractice. And the code will apply. So for us, it's not, he's owing you money, fine. Is it indicated that the patient needs admission? Or somebody comes, doctor, admit me. The hospital is not a hotel. It is a hospital. Admissions are only prescribed when it is absolutely necessary. You admit a person who does not need the admission, you are depriving another person who needs the admission that bed.
What about those who collect money to give doctors report because of one need of the patient or the other? Is that also criminal?
That's straightforward malpractice. You don't need to go for his malpractice.
But do doctors have rights in all of this? I know we are dwelling on patients' rights. And why I say this is it sometimes when I go to the hospital, I make it a point of duty, especially if a doctor is friendly, to say, how are you? Because I know they don't get this most of the time. And most times the doctor looks at me like, you know, some they respond. They are happy to hear it because they are the ones who ask, what can I do for you and all of that. So when you say, how are you? they feel good about it. I have been, the last time I went to the hospital, the doctor was attending to me. The doctor, somehow didn't enter my prescription in their system. I just noticed that something was off. I went, I came back. I was feeling stressed within myself. Why are you making me go up and down? But while I was at the pharmacy, this same doctor came for her medications. She was ill, just like me.
Yeah,
she was ill and walking just like me. She was ill.
Now, the point is this. If a doctor, one of the part of the doctor's oath, you will take care of your well-being.
First.
So you will be able to provide
care of others.
Of high standard. So if a doctor is ill and is still attending to patients, that may be deemed malpractice.
Deemed malpractice, but isn't she being compelled to work by circumstances?
So if somebody is compelling her, she should exhibit that.
All right,
because you may be exposing the patient to your illness.
True. Let's take some more messages.
We don't encourage heroes. We encourage regular people, do your work diligently.
All right, some messages that have come in now. This one says, does the patient have the right to know what kind of medication is administered to him or her during treatment?
Yes.
If affirmed, why should some private doctors mix drugs from the consulting room to administer in the ward? Or sometimes they remove the name or script the name and formula of the drugs off its label. This is coming from Judge Benedict Nibi from Port Harcourt. Another one says, do patients generally have the right to request and receive items removed from their bodies, such as organs or surgical specimens? Though this is often handled on a case-by-case basis with specific procedures to follow. Thank you for your service. God bless Nigeria. This is Nandom Weyep from Jaws. Please, how can one complain or report of a doctor or a hospital to seek redress for poor treatment? Any phone number to call? That's coming from Kingsley in Jaws. This one says, my name is Chukwuemeka from Enugu. How should sexual harassment of a patient by a health worker be addressed?
Okay. When it says health worker, it's
general, not just doctors.
It includes the gateman who works in the hospital. But if it is a healthcare professional who is a doctor, it is a violation of the code to have an amorous relationship with the patient that you are attending to. You report to the Medical and Dental Council, we'll deal with it. Now, one of the questions was, how do they report? The report is done by an affidavit. You go to court, you depose an affidavit of fact stating your complaint. The reason why we insist that it must be an affidavit, we don't want a situation where people will just lodge frivolous complaints.
Of course. Exactly. So you are on oath.
You are on oath, and you are saying what you are saying, believing it to be true, on the peril of prosecution if it's proved that you lied on that oath. You send that, and we also do not want people to just tarnish a doctor's reputation frivolously, because the biggest asset a doctor has is his reputation. And once you destroy it, it cannot be retrieved. So we don't want that to happen. So you must do it in the form of an affidavit. You send us the affidavit to our office, either the headquarters or any of our zonal offices that is closest to you. There's one in Enugu, there's one in Ilorin, Lagos, Kaduna, and Yola. And you can also send it to us on our website, to our mail. We'll receive it.
What's your website?
www.mdcn.gov.ng.
And your email?
pd@mdcn.gov.ng.
I'm sure those will be on the website.
They're on the website. They're on the website. So when we receive the petition in the form of an affidavit, if we receive petitions that are not in the form of an affidavit, we don't just keep them. We reply the person and tell him you are required to do it in the form of an affidavit. More often than not, they will respond with an affidavit. When we receive the affidavit, like the barrister stated earlier, we'll send copies of the affidavit to the doctor mentioned. If any doctor is mentioned, specifically, we send it to the doctor. If they don't mention, because you keep asking, how do you prove? You don't have to remember the name of the doctor, but just show that you were treated in the hospital and you are complaining. We'll send that affidavit to the doctor who is the doctor in administrative charge of that hospital, either the chief medical director, medical superintendent, by whatever designation is referred to, the doctor that is in charge of a hospital. It is always a doctor that is in charge of a hospital. We ask him to render a report of what happened to that patient in that hospital in the form of an affidavit, furnish us with the names of all the doctors who attended to that patient in that hospital or ought to have attended to the patient. Underline that, because that you were supposed to attend to a patient and you were not there to attend to the patient may be the problem. Not just that you attended to the patient and there was a problem. I'm highlighting that because some doctors come and say, I did not see him. Yes, it is the problem. You didn't see him. That's part of the problem. Now, when he gives us that list, we also request that he sends us the original case note, paginated, of that patient in that hospital.
Can't that be edited?
Because most times it's electronic now.
Even if it is not electronic, when you edit it, you provide evidence against yourself. We know. You are a lawyer. There are professional things, you know how it flows. You get my point? A lot of the cases we established was because somebody tried to... No, he lawyered it. He tried to lawyer the...
No, a doctor doctored it.
Now, we received the original case note, the test results and reports, x-rays, ultrasound scans, everything. Copies of the complaint affidavit, that's the complainant's affidavit, together with the affidavit of the doctor in charge, where the doctor's name is mentioned, will be sent to him. And is requested to state the role he played or did not play in that matter. To address your question of what if he's a quack, we also request each of them to send us a copy of their certificate of full registration as medical practitioner, their annual practicing license. So sometimes we now find out that somebody who is not a doctor is being referred to as a doctor. Typically optometrists. It is then that the optometrist will say, well, actually, I am an optometry doctor. You are not a doctor. You are an optometrist. And they are no longer our business because they don't qualify to appear before the organs of the Medical and Dental Council.
All right.
Now, let me finish, sir.
We just have about 2 minutes.
Can you round off?
Yes,
just summarize.
Now, when every doctor who ought to respond has responded, and as they respond, copies will be sent to the complainant for him to see what is stated, refute, corroborate, or provide additional information in the form of a further affidavit. When all that is done, the matter is now ready for investigation, and we present it to the investigation panel, which is comprised of doctors. That each person will be given a copy of the case, review, and provide his opinion.
Fantastic. Many thanks. It looks like it looks like it's better to come to the Medical and Dental Council than to go to a lawyer, right?
I think they have different rules.
Because
it depends on what it depends on what the victim is looking for.
Yes.
Some people get satisfied with punishment of the doctor.
Like I said, we don't punish.
Sanction.
Yes. Now, some people want compensation.
Okay, you don't give compensation.
No, we don't have power to give compensation. Some people want the person committed to jail. We don't have power to deal. What we have power to do, like he stated,
is a sanction.
Reprimand the doctor.
Suspension.
Suspend him for no longer than 6 months. Or erase his name from the register.
Beautiful.
All right, we have to go. Your final word in 30 seconds.
Okay, my final words are these. Firstly, patients should live up to their rights. It's not a privilege. It is a right. Know where to complain, how to complain, and engage experts.
Beautiful.
Many
thanks. And I hope you will be pursuing the National Assembly to get this law.
After this, I will tell you what we have been doing.
I'll discuss that with you.
Well, and the most interesting that you have mentioned is the fact that if a doctor refers you to a private hospital, you have a right to complain and to report, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. So I hope Nigerians take note of that also. So that's our package this morning. Many thanks to Dr. Enejo Abdul, the Deputy Registrar and Director and Head, Department of Professional Discipline, Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. It was indeed a pleasure to have you. Many thanks for sharing your insight with us. Nigerians are more enlightened now, and we hope to have you some other time so you can, share some of these insights with us. Of course, Barrister Ebenezer Iguatu, health lawyer and patients' rights and safety advocate. Thank you so much. Keep speaking up for patients in Nigeria. We appreciate you. Professor Steve Abba, we appreciate you, despite the fact that, the connection wasn't stable enough to have you, make your contributions on the program. So that's our package this Friday. I'm Ray John. Have a great weekend.
And I'm Victor Azu. Thank God it's Friday.